Welcome back to episode 11 of Lighthouse Health and Safety Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Chandran. Today's topic is the path to happiness. In the context of health and safety, you might think that happiness is an irrelevant concept, or you might feel that it is completely relevant to everything that we do in that profession. There are some people who would think that the purpose of life is to be happy. But I would suggest that the greater purpose in life is to ensure the happiness of others. And as a work health and safety professional, this is exactly where I come in. But before I explore that, what is happiness? Let us define that for a moment. There are many definitions of happiness, but rather than cherry pick one, I think that each person listening to this episode should define it for themselves, because your definition of happiness will determine whether you live a happy life or not. Just be sure that you're not living someone else's definition of happiness, i.e., I have Asian parents, right? And it is common for an Asian parent's happiness to be correlated with the success of their children. Unfortunately, that perceived pressure on a child can be why many modern children struggle to succeed in life and find happiness of their own. I believe that happiness is more than having good physical and mental health. I think that happiness is a spiritual goal, and spiritual goals are personal and relate to the fulfillment of one's purpose in life. If I was to define happiness, then this is what it means to me. My happiness would directly correlate to fulfillment of my life's purpose. So now that I've defined what happiness means to me, I ask you, is sadness the opposite of happiness? I think many people would agree with this in principle, so we must attempt to define sadness. In fact, if we can define sadness, then our definition of happiness should become apparent. If so, then what is sadness? I believe that sadness is a feeling we experience following loss or the thought that we could lose something of value to us. It could be loss of our health, or our homes, or income, or even a relationship. In the context of my definition of happiness, sadness would then be related to me failing to fulfill my life's purpose, or feeling as if I was being set back and not progressing that goal. Now, my definition of happiness might not suit everyone, so let's look at a couple of other concepts which may be more relevant to you. I think that many people listening might agree that when they are winning in life, or whatever winning means to them, that they will feel happy. But if they feel like they're losing in life, it makes sense that they might feel sad. However, I challenge this thinking because if it is true, then surely happiness is nothing more than a positive feeling that we experience whenever we gain something. And likewise, sadness is nothing more than the negative feeling associated with loss. I call this false happiness. I believe that true happiness is not found day to day or month to month. I believe that true happiness will only be found on my deathbed. In other words, my life's purpose will be realized around the time of my death. Now, that might sound very morbid, but don't forget, I study samurai arts, and the samurai mastered their fear of death by studying it to the point that if a choice had to be made between living and dying, they would choose death every time. Why is this important to the concept of happiness? It is because the word samurai means one who serves. And to serve at their best, i.e. to fulfill their purpose, samurai had to overcome the one thing that thwarted that goal. And that thing was the fear of death. So by mastering death, the samurai would die without hesitation, with commitment, and do great honor to their lord and their family. So for them, happiness was something that could only be realized around the time of their death. To die knowing that you have done the right thing in life. If I can meet my end having fulfilled my life's purpose, then I believe I'll be truly happy. So, to me, happiness is an end goal. You can go on experiencing false happiness day to day, month to month, but something will always feel missing. This is what I'm talking about. To understand my thinking a little bit more completely, I have to describe some important concepts. The first one is Zen theory and ego, and I've talked about ego in the past. The heart of Zen practice acknowledges that loss is related to our attachments to things in life, i.e. the things that we have a relationship with, the things that we value. The stronger your attachment is to something you value, the more profoundly it impacts your mental health when it is lost. And when we suffer a loss, it is quite normal to dwell on it. Each loss, therefore, is like an anchor that keeps us from moving on. So moving on is a very important principle. It is ultimately how we overcome fear and loss. Which brings me to the next concept. Understanding fear and loss. Fear of loss is great when your attachment to the thing you can lose is great. The more you have to lose, the more you have to fear. So carefully consider the difference between what you need and what you desire. We have very few needs in life, but often far more wants. Hence the saying, less is more is less. If you can be happy day to day, month to month with less, then you're on the path to becoming truly happy. Next, the importance of service, purpose, and happiness. A few years ago, I wrote down my secret recipe for happiness, which is summarized in a quote, and it is this: through service, you will find purpose, and through purpose, happiness. Very, very similar to how I've started this presentation with those concepts. If you want to be happy in life, I believe that you must discover your life's purpose. To this end, think deeply about what you are good at. If you are not sure, or you think, I'm not good at anything, I doubt that you're assessing yourself fairly. So rather, ask the people that are close to you, people you trust. What am I good at? And they will tell you. Now, if you take what you are good at, i.e., what makes you special, and use that gift to help others, you'll probably find that you do it really well. Now keep practicing until you've mastered the art of serving really well in your purpose, and it will become your life's purpose. Once you're set on your way, this will be your path to happiness. So in my case, as an example, I feel that I am particularly adept at training, at explaining things and demonstrating that to other people. So this might explain why I'm running this podcast. I am using my purpose, that which I am good at, to help other people to find their purpose, and through that, happiness. Now, I wanted to introduce a new term: return on spiritual investment, or ROSI. Now, many financially astute investors will be familiar with the term return on investment, ROI, and they will seek to invest their money in ventures that produce the best ROI, taking into account the risk profile of various opportunities. This level of thinking is likely to produce a good financial outcome for them, but it does nothing to improve the financial outcomes of others. It's like investing in yourself to become better. However, this is noble only if you use your betterment to help other people. If you're doing things to benefit the self over the benefit of the many, then you are doing so with your mind and not with your heart. Those who are noble and truly good make decisions with their heart because they know it is the way to lasting happiness. And for this reason, I do not believe that philanthropy is the act of giving when you have a lot, but rather the act of giving when you have little and are in need yourself. Now, many people listening might get angry with me for saying this. That's okay. I stand by my statement because if we don't take the higher path, our society will eventually consume itself, and that process has already begun. It began when we put self-interest ahead of humanity's interests. When you invest in the many, you're investing in your purpose, which ultimately is tied to true happiness. And this concept I call a return on spiritual investment. Now, enough with the philosophy. I want to leave you with some pragmatic Zen principles that you can apply in your day-to-day life so that you can discover your life's purpose and practice it to improve your own happiness and the happiness of others. And the first principle is this: develop confidence in yourself. Or another way of saying it would be, reduce the uncertainty in your life. Now in life we start and stop many things, and often we will hesitate or pause when we are uncertain of what may happen next. Hesitation occurs due to the fear of not knowing what will happen next. Setting a goal is the first step towards reducing uncertainty and gaining confidence. And if you want to be happy in life, do the things that raise your confidence. Spend time with people that lift you up and move you forward, and drop the relationships in your life that bring you down and hold you in place. Principle 2. Avoid labeling yourself. We are all strong and weak at times. We are all introverted and extroverted at times. We are all capable of doing good things and bad things at times. I don't believe there are good and bad people in this world. I see good people doing bad things, and I see bad people doing good things. Who is truly good and who is truly bad? You see, the problem with labels is that they promote a sense of self. If you associate yourself with a label, then should you lose the label, you may then lose your sense of who you are. And the more labels you attach to yourself, the more of yourself that you can potentially lose. Hence the saying, less is more is less. Principle 3, my favorite. Like yourself. The reason why I like myself is because I try to do what is right, even when it could cause me grief. I like myself because I am courageous. I like myself because I help other people to become better people. I like myself because I am resolute and indomitable. In other words, I intuitively know that I am on the right path and have a strong spirit. Invest in your spiritual health. Don't neglect it. So the question I have for you now is, what do you like about yourself? And if you're struggling to answer this question honestly, ask the people who know you best. Their responses might be enlightening and give you the confidence to like yourself. And finally, principle 4, suffer well. If you are suffering in life, it is sensible to end that suffering. And the correct way to end suffering is to give your pain away. Now, this doesn't mean that you hurt other people just because you are feeling hurt. But rather, it's about using your suffering to ease the suffering of others. In my last podcast episode, I interviewed Tom Jenkins, who is using his experiences of suffering a cardiac arrest to help other people and become a better person himself. This is what it means to suffer well. And I've now come to the end of this episode, and I have a confession to make. I am not happy all of the time. I make time for myself every day to do the things I love. Discover your joie de vivre, your joy of living. Find out what that is and practice that every day. Make time for yourself every day to do the things you love. I like myself for both my strengths and my flaws, and they are many. And I have fewer wants and regrets today than I did yesterday. And isn't that an encouraging thought? So there you have it, my thoughts on the path to happiness. I hope that there's something in here that's been of value to you. If you do like what you're hearing, please subscribe to my channel for more topics like this and other more scientific and technical topics on what you can do to look after your own health and safety and that of others. But for now, be well, stay safe, and I'll see you later.